if you're still trying to save up your 3.8 million for your very own Honda Type R, well, you might be out of time because for 2026, the Civic Type R FL5 is officially going away. So what we wanted to do is bring it to a bucket list destination and give it like its own anime ending by the sea. The thing is, would you drive a sports car on a road trip? Let's find out. Alright, so we're on the way to our secret destination. It's a beach in Pampanga. I bet you didn't know Pampanga even had one. And what's it like to drive the Type R? First of all, it's a manual, and that alone is worth on itself because manual cars are just really rare nowadays. So the clutch has some weight, but I wouldn't call it heavy. Though it depends, if you've never driven a manual before, anything is going to seem heavy. Yeah, you will feel the weight, and over time, especially on the course of a 2-3 hour drive, it does build up the fatigue in your leg. What's nice about this though versus the older Civics is the torque, that 420 Newton meters, lets you be a bit lazy with shifting. So you can get out of situations in second, sometimes even third gear, when before you'd have to drop all the way to first. So here, clutch in, build up the revs a bit, and even if you're in the wrong gear, like here, starting from second, yeah, that wasn't viable before. So yeah, you can be a bit lazy with shifting the Type R, which is nice. What is not nice though is the road noise, the buzz from the tires. It's pretty loud because the adaptive suspension does a lot to make things more comfy, especially when you can put it in individual mode where you can get all the power and all the engine noise or exhaust noise without having to put the suspension on its stiffest R setting as well. So that's nice, but unfortunately there is no comfort setting to turn off all this road noise, and that's one big pain point for taking something like this on a road trip because it can build up like the fatigue in your ears. So you have your leg, you have your ears feeling the brunt of the Type R's roughness. You have to ask though, is it worth bringing a fast car on a long drive? Is it better than driving around slow in traffic where you can take advantage of it? Well, in a way, you also can take advantage of it on a long drive because highways let you just go to 100 anyway, and you can hit 100 in second gear. However, when you find those quiet spots, those quiet back roads that let you squeeze the gas a bit or take a turn really fast, not like this one crawling over humps, it's really worth like everything, all the negatives, to experience those small joys. And I think having those small bonuses every quarter of an hour on a long drive really helps break up the monotony of the experience. So instead of falling asleep at the wheel, you can wake yourself up every now and then with a little smile on your face. Now for the inside, let's talk about comfort. First of all, these seats, super eye-catching red Type R seats, they're actually not that bad for a long drive. The cushioning itself is pretty soft, and the bolstering is not too restrictive, even if you're a bit bigger and wider. The steering wheel though, it's seen some heavy use as a test unit over the years, and it's lost its nice fuzzy feeling. So that's actually minus points for comfort because it's not so nice to hold anymore. Otherwise, suspension-wise, if you leave the car in R mode or sport mode, you will feel some stiffness once you're done with your ride. But when you put it in comfort, it's soft enough. It's not gonna be as soft as even the base Civic, but it's livable enough for the 2.5 hour drive we did. So comfort-wise, suspension-wise, if your sports car has adjustable suspension, it might be okay. If it doesn't though, then you might have back problems at the end of the day. The Type R is also one of the few manual sports cars you can get in 2025, and honestly, after 2.5 hours on the road, my left leg was feeling a bit ngalay, so to speak. It's feeling a bit worn out. It's not the heaviest clutch, and the gear shifter itself is super nice to throw around, but still it won't compare to driving an automatic car. Even an automatic sports car like say the Nissan Z, much easier to drive on a long trip, especially when you have to deal with stop and go traffic like we did with all these tricycles and one-lane streets. Entertainment wise though, you do get infotainment with Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, though my phone did not want to attach. It's an S23 Plus and it refused to sync to Android Auto for some reasons. I had to use Bluetooth mirroring. It does come out through a 12 speaker Bose system, pretty good on the sounds, and you do have to turn it up a bit because the road noise of this car is not the best. You can hear tire noise, a bit of wind noise, but not too much noise from the outside in terms of other cars passing by and motors in it. As for the soundtrack of the engine itself, well, the Type R doesn't get high points there either, which actually means extra comfort for a long drive because the exhaust note does not drone as much, or it's not too loud that it can wear you out hearing it for, again, 2.5 hours straight. And one more bonus fact that actually gives this a passing mark in comfort is the aircon is very good. It doesn't suffer at all from having a performance motor under the hood. As you can see here, water temp right now 85, oil temp 85. Intake air temperature is 68, so the engine is breathing pretty hot air. But the exterior temperature is thankfully still 27, even if it's already 10 a.m. So this actually makes it a bit more livable because your AC is good, and I think that's the most important part for a road trip in the Philippines. So if your sports car has weak aircon, no, pass. This doesn't even have that much tint, as you can see in the window. So yeah, comfort-wise, the Type R gets a passing grade, just a bit above average in terms of rideability on a long drive. Alright, so we're here at our secret seaside spot for our anime ending of the Type R. And as you can see, going here was a bit rough. You can tell that we had to pass through some less than sports car friendly roads on the way here. Can you live with low ground height? So the Type R has 123 millimeters of ground clearance. In comparison, the normal Civic has 134 millimeters, so you're losing 11 mm, more or less half an inch, which is just this much. Thankfully, we didn't scratch on anything. We even had to go through some flood roads, which at first looked kind of sketchy, but the Type R made it through, no problem. But if you did have to go through something rougher, I think it is a sure thing that you're gonna scratch your car. So it depends. So this is our first time going here to this spot, and we didn't know exactly how bad the roads would be, and not gonna lie, it felt a bit sketchy bringing a sports car out to somewhere you've never been before. But if it's a place you know that won't have anything too low, no ramps that have crazy angles, then it might be safe to take a sports car even with a low ground height. Because it's worth it when your car looks like this. So you have the FL5 face toned down a lot from the previous generation, but still a real good looker, especially in the metal where you can really appreciate how wide and muscular it is. You have your vented hood up top, Type R badge, red Honda badge, big opening honeycomb grille down there for the turbos intercooler. And as you can see, the lower lip is not actually that low or not that out, but if I feel it here under, I can definitely tell it's been through some scratches. On the side, you do have your side skirts, again, not that low to be unlivable. And in the rear, being a hatchback, you do have a shorter overhang, which lends itself to backing out of tight or inclined spaces if it's too steep to hit head-on. So back to the question, would you drive a sports car on a road trip with the low ride clearance? In this case, the Civic gets a passing mark, just enough to get through. Alright, next up, practicality of taking a sports car out on a road trip. The Type R, being a hatchback, actually gets some extra plus points in that regard because it does have a lot of storage space under that hatch. Especially if you drop the rear seats, if there's only two of you, or a solo road trip, soul searching, because you know that your car is going away. It's actually not bad. The rear wing, big as it is out here, actually doesn't block the rear view mirror. The triple exhaust doesn't hang so low to scratch on the ground. It's not too loud to give you a headache. And you do even get a backup camera to make maneuvering around easy enough. So practical in terms of space, but is it practical in terms of performance? Because they say, what's the point of owning a sports car if you're just gonna drive it on EDSA and be stuck in traffic like the rest of us? Nowhere to use that 320 PS of horsepower and 420 Newton meters of torque from the 2-liter turbo up front Well, let me tell you, on a road trip, you also can't use it because you can't really go past 100 on the highway anyway. Maybe just a bit when overtaking. So actually, unless you're going on track, there's really no point. But it does feel good to drive, and it feels fast, and it's satisfying to take on a turn. It's satisfying to drop a gear, see the revs go up again without speeding. So in terms of miles per miles, you do get some sort of practicality. And in terms of storage space, the actual livability, you also do get a bit. But again, this comes from the Civic being a hatchback. Other sports cars, other true two-seaters might not get a pass in this category. But for this one, we say it does. And finally, was it worth or practical to spend close to 4 million pesos on a car for a road trip? And I think the answer here is no. A Wigo or a Brio, since we're talking about Honda, could have made it here just as well as the Type R. However, it does make up for it in it's really nice to take pictures of the car, and especially if your road trip destination wasn't as cool as you imagined. Honestly, this place looked better in the photos, but at least I can take cool car guy photos like this, or like this, or like this as well. So yeah, if we're talking about value for money, taking a sports car out on a road trip, no, it's not worth it, but it is worth it for the picture-picture. So, is a sports car worth bringing on a road trip? In the Type R's case, yes. It's still livable enough for a long drive. And it really helped a lot that we brought something memorable like this. Because the location itself, again, wasn't as photogenic as we hoped. But still, it looks like we got the Type R, the anime ending it deserves. And if we didn't bring a car this fun or this nice to take a picture of, this wouldn't have been as much a memorable road trip. And it's a bit sad because the Type R is going away, the Supra is gone, the GTR is gone. Who knows what will disappear next, or what will disappear and come back, but in a hybrid, or maybe no more manual. So guys, if you're thinking about pulling the trigger on a car like this, if you have the 3.8 million, you should really go for it while you can. And don't be afraid to drive it. So what's happening to the Type R? Where is it going? Well, it's going into the history books. So after a successful run of the first ever Type R, the FK8 coming out in the Philippines, followed by this one, the FL5, now we have no Type R again because this model has been stopped for production due to the usual suspects, emissions, regulations. So now we're losing it and we don't know what's coming next. So that's why if you want one, Honda says you should totally buy one now while they still have some stocks, and you aren't held hostage by resellers who will probably sell them for 500 or 1 million more than the sticker price, which is also what happened when it first came out. So when is actually the best time to buy a sports car? When it comes out and everyone puts a markup on it, or when it's about to go away and everyone puts a markup on it again, or maybe in the in-between when there are no stocks to be found. I don't know. But yeah, so the FL5 is leaving, and that's why we're here to give it its anime ending, like we mentioned. It might have been a polarizing design when it first came out. Well, this one and its predecessor might have been polarizing when it first came out. This one for looking a bit too tame, the first one for looking a bit too wild, but this is definitely a grower. Just like the 11th Gen Civic it's based on, it grew over time and it looks really strong and purposeful. And of course, championship white. Can't get it in anything but that. So, adding it all up, is a sports car okay to take on a road trip somewhere you've never been before? I think yes. Because for some people, it's the saying, the journey, not the destination. So in this case, if we drove something not fun to our destination, we might have actually been a bit let down. But having a fun, capable car, even if it's not the most practical, not the most economical, actually made this a memorable trip altogether.